Facebook and Instagram 5 Lads. 15 Cowgate, Peterborough, PE1 1LZ. Call 01733 56 22 87. Open 7 days a week, 12 to 11 p.m.
Almirad Tiles. With over 70 stores nationwide, we are now open in Peterborough. Up to 50% discount offers now on. Largest selection of tiles. Full bathroom suites from only £189. Paint, LED lighting, laminate flooring from only £7.99. Over 1,000 designs of wallpaper in stock. We have everything you need. Come and visit us at 193 Fengate, Peterborough, PE1 5BH, or call us on 01733 34 58 47. Almirad Tiles, now open.
Had a car accident or an accident at work? Accident specialists are experts in no-win, no-fee accident claims. Leave the hassle to us. Our multilingual settlement experts will manage the entire claims process on your behalf, with nothing to pay up front. We provide services such as credit hire, taxi vehicles, recovery, storage and much more. For full details on our range of services and a free consultation, call us on 01733 555 774 or visit our office at 249 Lincoln Road opposite the NatWest Bank. Accident Specialists. Start your successful claim today.
Insure 24/7 is a community-based insurance brokerage offering competitive premiums and a great service. Taxis, properties and businesses, we cover them all. Call us on 01733 856699 or visit our new office at 304 Lincoln Road. Insure 24/7. We've got you covered. Insure 24/7 is authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الغضب يفسد الإيمان كما يفسد الصبر العسل. That anger ruins faith just like the aloe plant ruins honey.
Broadcasting 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. This is Salam Radio.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. You are listening to Let's Talk, our current affairs show with me, Akeel Khalil, and my co-host, Amir Sulaiman. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
We are live on Salam Radio, 106.2 FM and Inspire FM in Luton. You can listen to us online at salamradio.co.uk or watch the show live on our streaming services. Search for Salam Radio on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. If you prefer mobile, please download and use our Salam Radio app from the App Store or Google Play. Salam Radio is always on air, 24/7, 365, uniting all communities. As ever, please get involved with your opinions by calling us on 01733 602 133, or you can text WhatsApp the show on 07745 278 978. Assalamu alaikum, brother. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam.
I finally got you in the hot seat.
You finally got yourself in the hot seat.
It's true. We have been away for a while.
And how long is a while?
Do you know? I can't recall. It's been quite a length of time.
I think it's over 6 months.
Well, 6 months, yes. But it's good to be back.
It is, alhamdulillah.
And alhamdulillah, it's good to have you here, which means I no longer have to give you a shout out. But sadly, unfortunately, I now have replaced the shout out with Brother Hamid.
Of course.
So if you are listening, brother, the hot seat is still waiting and ready for you whenever you want to come back on air, inshallah.
Yeah, we'll get a chair put there, which will represent Brother Hamid's absence.
Yes, and I think our listeners would they're definitely going to be missing his dulcet tones. But alhamdulillah, you are here. How have you been?
Alhamdulillah, I've been alright. Busy, as always, with other things on the station. But alhamdulillah, good. And it's good to be back doing this.
Yes, I agree with you. And so much has happened in the world since me and you, and the show has actually been on air. So many things have happened.
Absolutely.
Good and bad.
Indeed.
Yes, and I just want to echo that as well. We've had a change in personnel, haven't we, for the station as well? Alhamdulillah.
We have. Sister Michelle has been doing an amazing job for 3 weeks now.
3 hours. That's flown by.
It's flown by.
Yeah,
and
you
she's
are right, 3 weeks. Yeah.
mashallah. Says shout out to Sister Michelle for stepping up as our new station manager, and a quick shout out to Ali, who is our station manager this evening.
Yes. So if you're viewing us online, you'll have seen that magical thumbs up. Well, alhamdulillah. So in terms of the show itself, first topic we're going to be talking about rise of the far right. Is history going to repeat itself? Are we slowly, in some people's opinions, or quickly in others, walking towards a situation which faced Nazi Germany all those years ago? Now, some of you might be thinking, the parallel, how can you make such a parallel? Well, this was what happened there. There were people and communities and ethnicities and so on and so forth that were demonized in the public eye, whether that was through media, and so on and so forth, in different arenas. And slowly, the indoctrination, the propaganda, all these things became normal, became part of the psyche.
Yeah.
And because that happened, it led on to what then manifested itself into a mass regime change. You saw with Hitler, one of his mantras was how he wanted a superior race in Germany. And the reason why I bring this parallel is because if you look at some of the literature, some of the ideologies that the far right are presenting, they are talking about the great replacement.
Yes,
they are talking about white people being completely outmatched in terms of numbers, jobs, and so on and so forth. And this is a trend which has been growing for quite some time. And if you use social media, if you are someone who keeps abreast of politics or just even local news, because the international news is just full of what I'm going to describe, and what you will see is there is a wave of hate, whether that's in a working environment, whether that's in a social environment, which is constantly being beamed to us from our mobile phones, from our tablets, or from our TV screens. And it's whether it's in the traditional news outlets, whether they're inviting somebody on who is very far right for them to give an opinion on something, or whether it's something you're scrolling through on Twitter and you're seeing it. What I'm describing here is the normalization of hate. This thing about I should be able to say what I want. I thought, we were past this. I thought my parents had put up with this. But what the reason why we're talking about this tonight is because of the report from the police this week about the far right being the UK's fastest growing terror threat.
Indeed, it is. The opening you've just given, which has very much set the scene, which is very well done, and I'm laughing because it's a bit of a private joke between us. You've set the scene well, but you talked about these far right groups, some of them using this great replacement and having materials which Darren Osborne, for example, who attacked Muslim worshippers with a van in North London, he'd acted after consuming lawful material. From groups such as the EDL, the English Defence League, and mainstream media. So just to reinforce your point that this material is lawful and yet is inciting hatred in people like Darren Osborne.
Correct. And I think the other element to that is, from the reports and when I was doing research on this topic, was there is lawful material online which then points you towards illegal material.
Yes, it does.
So it's not just that. So you just have to, when you scratch at the surface, suddenly you're finding yourself, oh, hold on, I can get involved in this. And a lot of people, when you're on social networks, for example, let's use Twitter, a lot of people tend to follow people in some of the beliefs that they already have, or people want to be part of an echo chamber, don't they?
They do.
You see this very prevalent when you look at the rhetoric that's coming from the far right. You only have to look at a tweet from Sadiq Khan and the amount of abuse that he gets. It
really is overwhelming.
It's staggering. It is, and at the moment during the first part of this conversation, we're going to be talking about UK far right terrorism, but there is also a growing number of UK British nationals who have taken upon themselves to become part of an international group of individuals who seem to be picking up this that the baton was off to fight against anything towards Muslims, whether that's the issue in Kashmir or whether that's an issue elsewhere.
Yeah.
They're using that as a tool to continuously beat the drum of hate, to say that the Muslim man or woman isn't somebody whose culture doesn't fit. So where this has changed from the Jo Cox scenario, sadly, when she was murdered by a neo-Nazi, was at that time, and previously as well, it was far more obvious people were just doing this because of race. Okay, I don't like you because you're brown.
Right.
I don't like you because you're black, and I don't like you because you're white. Okay, so it was a race thing.
Yeah.
But now, in order to circumvent this, in order to go around this, they are saying it's a culture clash. It's far easier to hate somebody or many ways to try and justify your opinion, to say, look at their culture. It's their culture that doesn't meet our values, hence why we can't live together.
Well, you've mentioned the values thing, right, which is that sticking point. People talk about British values, and to this day I still don't know what British values are supposed to be.
Yes.
Right. So that's why this is always going to be a sticking point for the far right, as well as other types of groups. You mentioned the Jo Cox murder there, and as part of this report, the police have revealed, which is essentially their first public briefing since the murder of Labour MP Jo Cox, which was now, subhanAllah, in 2016. But since then, a quarter of all terrorism arrests in the past year were linked to far right violence. A quarter. And the far-right caseload of counter-terrorism police jumped from 6 to 10% just in the last 2 years, which goes back to the point you were making at the outset. And crucially, this is a really important point, Prevent. Referrals to Prevent, which we know is the so-called anti-radicalisation programme, had almost doubled between 2016 and 2018 for the far right, from 10 to 18%, and were expected to rise further. And final point, a third of all terror plots to kill in Britain since 2017, 7 out of the 22 were by those driven by extreme right causes. So it's rife is probably not the right word to use, but it's hugely concerning. And it's pertinent to point out the fact that these statistics are growing day by day.
Yes. And
the facts are there.
Yeah, they are. I mean, Neil Basu in this report also says that the youngest member who they've spoken to, I don't know whether they arrested him or not, or however that went, was 14 years old.
14 years old.
That's really, really young.
Yeah.
And even at that age, you're still learning your way through life. You're still learning about life. You're still learning about society and so on and so on. So he or she would have been reading or subjected to or party to some really, really disgusting, abhorrent things, to be able to have that opinion to want to do something to people on the basis of their religion or colour.
Yeah.
And what's also scary is that our station manager tonight is 14.
Yeah, when you look at it like that.
When you look at it like that, and we know his capabilities and everything he can do, right?
Yeah.
There'd be such a waste of a young person's life to be involved in something like that. And we only have to look at things like in America, where we've had so many mass shootings this year.
Yes.
Some of these people have been kids.
Yeah, they have. But you know what? It goes back to, as you know, on Salam Radio, I've interviewed many people who have been in the far right and have left and now doing great work. And all of them have got one and more things in common. But the thing that's relevant to this conversation is that they each were trying to fill a void at that time in their life. There was a gap, and there was a sense of belonging by joining these groups. There was a sense of achievement in some sense, that they felt that, there's a community that I fit in with. It wasn't the belief and the premise of that group or gang was not the driving force for their involvement. It was the sense of belonging that was achieved, and for whatever reason they felt that needed to plug a hole. With hindsight, they realise now that it wasn't because of the objectives of the group or the beliefs of the group. It was because there was an element of a hole to fill. So whilst joining these groups is completely wrong, obviously there's no way you can condone any of that, you have to kind of look at it from the other angle and think, why is it growing?
Yes.
And why are there more youth getting involved in far right? Is it because there's a problem with the youth? And but who's to blame for that? We have to take a step right back. Why are the youth feeling empty? Why are the youth feeling that they need to resort to these channels to fulfill certain elements of their life? I think that's where we need to be looking.
Yes, I think education and support from a very young age is really, really important as a countermeasure.
Indeed.
But you're not born racist.
No.
You're taught it.
Of course you are.
And similar to a religion, you're not born to believe in a religion.
Yeah.
Your parents or your community or so on and so forth, or whoever you associate with, will teach you about that. But then as you get older, right, at some point, it should click whether or not you believe in that wholeheartedly or not.
But then, so there are those that will probably be, as you've said, taught racism, taught hate, but I think the vast majority are conditioned, and there's a very key difference.
Yes, there is.
And the conditioning can come from, as we've seen, from Darren, I forgot his name, Osborne, thank you, that he was conditioned by not only EDL material, but mainstream media.
Yeah, I mean, some of the language that they talk in, like the Great Replacement, as we were talking about, but referring to, people of color or people of different religions as the enemy.
Yes.
Or, and so on and so forth. All these things from a young age or for whatever it is suddenly becomes, it's like us versus them. There's going to be a war on the streets, and this sort of siege mentality ultimately leads into a Darren Osborne driving a van into Muslim worshippers. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
The question I got for you tonight, and it's something we have explored previously on the show as well, is, was this here before Brexit?
Yeah, because there has been a spike since.
I know Basu has turned around and said, well, I don't believe, but I felt safer before Brexit.
I would concur with that. And there has statistically been proof from the police and from third-party reporting centres that there has been a spike since the referendum vote, and when Article 50 was triggered, and since Brexit has come to the forefront. So there's no doubt it's had an effect. And I think it's given fuel to the far right. There's no question about that.
No question about that whatsoever. But I tell you, to just broaden this now, it's not just the UK. The world has seen the rise of the populist far right leader.
Yes.
You have to look at the leader of Hungary, Viktor Orban. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You have to look at the he's no longer the prime minister now, but Matteo Salvini of Italy.
Yeah.
Right. And the list goes on. Right. Even Trump, to a degree, can be assigned to this.
Not just to a degree. I mean, if you don't have to scratch too deep.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Okay. So you see that many countries around the world, many governments, many societies, for whatever reason, okay, whether it's through migration, whether it's just the economy is doing really bad, whether and so on and so forth, they are lurching to, or they have gone towards the right. I mean, if you look at the elections that happened in Israel over the last 3 weeks, the rhetoric was staggering.
It was blatant.
Right? It was blatantly racism. It's effectively an apartheid state.
Yeah.
But the picture that I'm trying to paint to you here is that it's won them seats. Normal people who you wouldn't ordinarily say, or they themselves wouldn't describe themselves as racist, voted for these policies, voted for these people.
Yeah.
Because of this message, this mantra about the great replacements, us and them. We need to protect our borders. We need to protect our jobs. They are going to come and steal everything. So it's like refugees and people of other colours. They are all the bad guys. And so in order to save ourselves, our way of life, as they put it, and so on and so forth, we must stop them from coming in. But I can't help but feel that it was there before Brexit, but Brexit almost gave a license for people to say things, because now the other side, the 17.4 million or whatever it was, they have won.
Yeah, exactly. It was a green light.
Yeah.
And I know we've talked about this before, but it's relevant to mention it now, and it's been a long time since we've had a conversation like this on Let's Talk about this topic. But the correlation is so strong between, as you've rightly said, between the whole Brexit thing and the rise in hate crimes and the rise of the far right, because like I just said, it does give fuel to them, but it just almost legitimizes their belief and their objective and their whole what's the word I'm looking for? I suppose their mantra, if you like. It legitimizes everything, especially when you have politicians and not afraid to say it, Boris Johnson, who's made very, very derogatory comments
Letterboxes.
about letterboxes, Donald Trump, there's numerous overtly, and yet the support for these guys doesn't waver.
It doesn't.
And but what does that tell us?
Yeah,
it clearly tells us that the people's views have changed significantly pre the referendum.
Yeah, and it's important for us, both of us, to stress here, we are saying this from the lens of an ethnic minority.
Absolutely.
Okay?
That's
this is
critical.
really, really important for people to understand that we are saying this as a lens through an ethnic minority. This is what we feel.
Yeah.
We're not asking for any special status.
No.
We're not.
No, absolutely.
We've lived here all our lives. I count myself, I see myself as a British citizen.
Yeah.
And, when you have all of this information and all of these reports and these videos that are shared everywhere, and then the normal, the status quo media, should we say, bringing on these people to then spew this stuff across television networks, it just beggars belief. And that's the other element that I wanted to bring in, which is politics in this country.
Indeed.
If you look at the people in, for example, let's look at the Tory party, for example, who have said the things that they've said and are denying an inquiry into Islamophobia.
Yes.
Right? This is another reason. They said that after Boris Johnson gave those comments of letterboxes, you saw that speech from that Khan Singh, right?
Of course.
Look, and he's a Sikh.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
What an amazing speech.
Amazing speech. But there are so many Sikhs in this country who are being terrorized.
Of course.
So, let us know what you think. You can get in touch with us by...
To get involved, call 01733 602 133. This is Salam Radio.
Or you can
text or WhatsApp 07745 278 978. This is Salam Radio.
I was enjoying that.
Do you want to do it again?
Oh, maybe later. But getting back to Tan Singh, right? It isn't just a Muslim issue. It isn't a black, white, brown person issue. This is an issue for society. And at this moment in time, I can't see the UK certainly going to a point where we're going to be back to tolerating each other.
No.
Having an inclusive environment. I think that we are still in the early state. Well, not early. We're in the midst of this. And I can't help but feel now when Brexit does actually happen.
Yes.
What's going to happen next?
Yeah, it doesn't bear thinking about, to be quite honest.
Are we going to see Neil Basu on TV all the time? Are we going to see more reports? Are we ever going to see another Muslim mayor again? Is there going to be more tragedies? Are we going to see more, are we going to see people calling this stuff out for what it is? Because at the moment, we have another issue, which is that one of the reasons why some people are not being checked for this language is because they're hiding underneath the guise of free speech.
Yeah, see, this is you alluded to this at the beginning of the show. Freedom of speech has actually been a huge problem.
It has.
There's nothing wrong with freedom of speech, but there's a line. There surely must be a line of what you should be saying and what you shouldn't be saying.
Yes, and there has to be a responsibility in your narrative.
Yes,
whatever that may be.
Right.
I'm not one for saying you can't have your opinion. Of course I'm not. I'm also not one for saying that we should just go around willy-nilly banning everything. It's important to have a conversation. It's important to educate. It's important to understand each other. It's important to build rapport. It's important to understand that we can work together.
Yeah.
It's important to understand that we as a UK community of whatever denomination has something beneficial to give to the UK.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But when we hide behind free speech, or we don't, if we're allowing people to just get away with say whatever they want, all we're seeing right now is the divisions becoming wider and wider and wider.
Yeah.
And this is my issue. I just can't see people going backwards or even forwards together to say, let's try and build forward from here.
I can't see that happening either, and I know it's a very pessimistic view, but I think it's a realistic one. And the likes of Twitter and Facebook and other social media has a big part to play in this. But isn't there something to be said about the tech companies controlling this so-called freedom of speech?
Yes.
Because not enough is done.
No.
At all, and I think they need to be held to account.
I totally agree with you. And if you look at, for example, just a couple of weeks ago, with a few football players were
Yes.
racially abused online.
Exactly.
There was this whole, I think, 24 hours of news networks talking about it, but still nothing happened.
No.
And you are right. I mean, we both know the technologies behind software.
Yeah.
They could easily, overnight, or as me and you will put it, after a sprint, they can effectively release code
Yeah.
which will allow people, will block people
Yeah.
from, it will block people from being able to share these messages, but they won't do it.
No. But why won't they do it?
More you're going to say, oh no, it can't be true, but for me, this keeps people using their platforms.
No, absolutely. But I do think there is definitely room for more accountability for the tech companies. I think more can be done to stop the widespread hate speech that takes place. But I do believe we've had a message in.
Yes, it's quite a really long message. Okay, well, I'll come back to this.
Oh, well, that is actually quite an essay.
It's an essay.
It really is. So I think
it's from Brother Abid. We'll give it this a read before we can share this online. It's
okay.
quite long. But
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Abid. Thank you for listening, and I hope you're well. Inshallah, what we'll do is we'll take a read of this during the break, and then we'll come back with a synopsis of your comment. Inshallah. Yeah. But so tech companies, I think, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot to answer for. But that said as well, I think what we need we as a society need to work together more. We need to be talking to each other more. We need to be talking to our neighbours more.
Yes.
We need to be building we are responsible for our own communities.
Of course we are.
And as Muslims, we should be doing this. We should be reaching out. If we feel like, okay, no one's reaching their hand out to us, then it's incumbent on us to do that.
But isn't it a two-way street?
It is. But brother, at the same token, if nothing's going to move forward, someone's got to try and drive this.
But there are, I mean, I think in every major city where there is a significant Muslim population, I can almost guarantee there are pockets of the community that are doing that work.
I agree with you. And this is something that should be replicated. And I agree with you. It definitely has to be a two-way street.
Yeah.
There are lots and lots of people who are not racist. There's lots and lots of people.
Of course.
There's millions of them.
Yeah.
There's millions of people who are quite happy with multiculturalism and so on and so forth. They say that when something happens, a terrorist attack happens, Muslims don't speak out. But in this instance, not enough people, normal people, liberal people, are not speaking out.
Yeah, to your point about not enough Muslims are speaking out.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's what they say. Yeah,
I know that. That's what they say.
Yeah,
I just want to address that point very quickly. I know we don't have much time left before the break, but personally, there was a time when I would speak to the media whenever they would approach Masjid Khadija to ask us to condemn the terrorist attack that had taken place, but it grew into condemnation fatigue for the simple reason you're not tired of doing the press interviews, you're tired of having to condemn it because it has absolutely nothing to do with Islam and absolutely nothing to do with us.
Yes.
And it's a point that is worth reiterating. But I just don't think we should get involved in condemning terrorist attacks anymore.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think that time has moved on.
Well, where's everybody condemning this report?
Yes.
It does go towards that. I feel like it's going to be people power that's going to change this.
I think it is. But unfortunately, the vast majority of the population are controlled by various sources.
Well, Jazakallah for that. That's a very, very powerful statement just there at the end. We are heading towards a break now. Please do stay tuned. We have another great topic coming up. Jazakallah khair for listening.
You're listening to Salam Radio, and it's now time for Isha Azan. This Azan is sponsored by UK Islamic Mission, serving humanity since 1962.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا
الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته. اللهم آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم بك نحيا وبك نموت وإليك المصير. رضينا بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله عليه
This Azan is sponsored by UK Islamic Mission, serving humanity since 1962.
Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Let's Talk.
Broadcasting 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. This is Salam Radio.
Let's try that again. Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Let's Talk, our current affairs show with me, Akeel Khalil, and my co-host, Amir Sulaiman.
Assalamu alaikum.
So, just getting to the text message which was sent by Brother Abid, Jazakallah khair for that. He mentions, and it's a really long message, mashallah, and really, it got me thinking, but due to time restrictions, I can only read out some of it. So, you mentioned here that you think we need to differentiate between offence and critique. Everyone gets offended, whether they admit it or not. Really good point.
Very good point.
And further down in the message, in relation to going deeper into the issue of the far right and why they are peddling this ideology, you mentioned the idea that has been purposely and consistently pushed out by conservative think tanks and right-wing media is that there is a problem with Islam. I totally agree with you, Brother Abid. This is exactly what has been painted. It's been going on for a long time, and it is used as a recruiting tool. So Jazakallah khair for that. Really appreciate that. So we were talking previously about the rise of the far right, and is history going to repeat itself? And towards the end of the topic there, me and Brother Ahmed both agreed that certainly in its current status we cannot see, or certainly can't foresee, a situation where society or the way this is going to end positively in any way, shape or form.
And can I just say before we move on that if anyone has a point that they'd like to add to the discussion so far, they can indeed get in touch with us, Brother Akeel. He said confidently.
Text or WhatsApp 07745 278 978. This is Salam Radio.
Yeah, do get in touch, 07745 278 978, because we want to have more of your comments. Brother Abid, thank you for yours. But we do have to switch topics now, don't we?
We do, yes. Today, something which really should be on the minds of everybody. You would notice on your TV screens, on every single news network, all across social media, thousands and hundreds of, in fact probably millions of people. I almost did a Trump there, didn't I? Millions of people.
You did.
I don't feel good now. millions of people.
Sorry, I have to interrupt you because you just said on air I almost did a Trump.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean now.
Anybody who follows his politics will understand that he says millions of people.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry.
It's fine. There was a global climate strike.
Yes.
Around the world, and it's something that has been going on. People have been talking about climate change since I've been born, really, probably before then. Mind your comment here. And
okay.
And what I mean by that is obviously it's been out, is on. People have been debating it. There's been information coming and so on and so forth. But never in my lifetime have I had more information, more access to information, more myths being dispelled because of this evidence that we now have. But moreover than that is what we see with our own eyes.
Yes.
Rising sea temperatures, icebergs melting. I mean, really, really intense weather changes. Whether that's floods in Haiti or Bahamas recently, whether that's tornadoes in America, whether that's other parts of the world which have been earthquakes and so on and so forth. What we're seeing is that the frequency in the weather changes, what we can see, is happening. Yeah. Right. So that's one part, and then the other element is what our governments are doing. And the reason why we talk about this days is not just about the biggest ever climate protest across the UK. So today, over 100,000 people took to the streets of London, Edinburgh, Bristol, Brighton, Bedford, Cambridge, Peterborough. Yep. All over the UK to protest about the urgent action that is required from our governments to try and mitigate some of the repercussions from the man-made action that's affected the ozone layer. And what staggers me is that in 2019 we have a young girl who's now, I think it's by sea she's going, isn't it, around the world?
That's right. Yeah.
Doing speeches in parliaments. I don't know if she went to the White House, but she went.
It was Congress, the Senate, wasn't it?
The Senate, was it?
Yeah.
So all over the world, and this young girl who has been subjected to incredible abuse is trying to remind the world that the future is the next generations. But if we don't do anything now, what's going to be left for that generation?
And this girl is Greta Thunberg, is that right?
Is that how you say it?
I'm sure it's
okay.
She's Swedish.
Yes.
Let's go with Thunberg.
So the question I have tonight is, why are our governments not prioritising the future for humanity? Why is it, and I said this to you off air, but why is this issue not number one on the policies of every single political party in the UK?
Well, I think that the answers to that are many, right? They're numerous. The reasons, you could write a book on the reasons, but if you just look at the US, for example, and Donald Trump's position on it, just that in itself, I think, is a 3-hour show in itself. But first of all, I want to go back to this climate strike day today, because what was particularly poignant about today's strike is it was, there was a large number of protesters that were school children that had actually left school for the day, and some who were in school were ringing the bell at 1 o'clock in protest, etc. And it was a very, very powerful image, a very powerful movement. But the cynical side of me asks, what good is this going to do? I know that Greta's talking to so many countries and senior politicians about this, but do you, i.e. the listener, or you, Brother Akeel, do you feel that protesting like this is going to make a difference?
We've got to do something, because our governments are not listening to us. The people who are in control of budgets, making policies, who have signed up to the Paris Accord agreements, and so on and so forth, are not listening to us. They are meeting each other every few years, talking about cutting global carbon emissions, and doing nothing. Some countries are trying to do some whatever they can, but you have countries like America, one of the biggest polluting nations on earth, one of the first things he did when President Trump came into power, he took them out of that treaty.
Yes, he did.
So what is left? People power, and it's peaceful protesting, may I add, is, we don't want to break the law. Okay, nobody wants to break the law. But at the same time, we need to show that we believe in something. That I understand what you're saying. Okay, what's this going to achieve? But this is how awareness starts.
So awareness, I don't think, is the issue. I think we are all aware of how serious a problem climate change is.
But why is nobody doing anything?
Well, no, this is the question, right? So you're absolutely right to ask that question. But my point is protesting like this actually going to make a difference?
If it's one of the only things that you can do as a human being, is to lawfully take to the streets and protest to your government, to show your signs of displeasure, to urge them, or urge your MPs, this is what we need you to do, then so be it. Well, how do you think the suffragettes did it? I mean, obviously they did some other extreme things.
Yeah, but I can come back to you with, look how many people protested against the Iraq war.
I agree with you, but look what happened. Is my point that the individuals themselves are going to make these decisions. Well, what should we do? We as a society should not vote for these people.
No, but history has shown that we will vote for these people. That's the problem.
That is cynic.
I'm just trying to give you the other argument.
You are, and if somebody else would like to come on air with me, if you were out today, Cathedral Square, or if you were somewhere else in the UK, in fact, anywhere in the world, and you were protesting for or against, we'd love to hear from you. You can contact us on.
To get involved, call 01733 602 133. This is Salam Radio.
Brother Amir thinks that all the people holding placards and doing all these things isn't going to get them far. My opinion is...
No, you've put words in my mouth. And you know you've put words in my mouth.
I'm painting a picture.
No, you're painting the wrong picture. What I'm saying is that, and I did say these words, it was a poignant and very impactful protest that was covered well by the media. But is it actually going to make politicians sit up and take notice and start changing policies?
Well, I hope it does. And look, what other options do we have left? Do we just carry on with the status quo? Do we just say, oh, okay, well, we'll just build some more solar farms, we'll build some more wind turbines, we'll add some more electrical generators so people can plug in their cars, we'll increase the nuclear power. But by the same token, the world, vast parts of the world, is still burning coal, for example. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
We have. I mean, you should have. I'm sure you have seen the David Attenborough documentaries about plastic. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, these are just things that humans have done to this planet. There has to be, and if we in our lifetimes don't do anything, what are we going to leave behind?
Absolutely agree with you. I'm definitely not disputing that fact that we need to do something, and the fact that people are trying with this protest is fantastic. But what I'm saying is there any real power in doing that? That's my question. And I just want to go on. I want to quote somebody who was striking today. She's a student, Jessica Ahmed. She was 16. She emailed her school to warn that she would be joining the protest instead of being in class. And speaking at a protest in Westminster today, she said, "School is important, but so is my future. If politicians were taking the appropriate action we need, and had been taking this action a long time ago when it was recognised the world was changing in a negative way, then I would not have to be skipping school."
Yeah.
Now, that is a layman's term way of describing how important this is to our youth.
Yes.
Right? So she felt that she had to skip school and she had to join this protest because she feels so strongly about the fact that politicians are doing nothing. But despite this effort, despite the commendable actions of this one individual, is this actually going to make the politicians sit up and take notice? Now, it's an opinion question I'm asking. No one knows the answer.
Correct.
But I'm just, based on historic fact, other protests, the Iraq War, etc., anti-Iraq War protests is an example. Did it change anything?
No, and I think the problem we have here as well is, I don't think humanity is ready for such drastic changes. I don't think we don't. I think one of the reasons that we have that the politicians aren't making these decisions is because this is going to require serious courage.
Yeah, of course it will.
We went to Amsterdam.
Yes.
Right. If you recall, that was the first city that we saw so many electrical vehicles.
Yeah, we were actually genuinely surprised by that.
Yeah, we were.
And impressed.
And impressed, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is how society needs to go to. This is how countries need to get to. We need to be less oil dependent.
Yeah.
We need to be a less throwaway society. But this requires a change from everybody. My concern here is that climate change being on the ballot paper is probably not a vote winner.
No, it's
as sad as it is,
and despite how many hundreds of thousands and even millions of people are concerned about climate change, it's still not a vote winner.
Yeah. And it staggers me. And when you meet people and you speak to people about this subject, whether you know a lot about it or whether you don't, people say, yeah, I'm aware of it. Yeah, we should do something. But it's almost like something, forgive the pun, on the back burner, right? Where you say, okay, well, we'll get to it. The problem we have is, there's a lot of countries which are going to bear the brunt of this before the rest of the world does. There's places around the world already where sea levels are so high that people are going to have to start moving soon. But we as a human beings, I feel we need to decrease our oil addiction.
Yeah, well, if you look at the government's target of 2050, right, for zero emissions, today at the climate change protest, Jeremy Corbyn said, if we're going to sustain this planet, we need to get to net zero emissions a lot quicker than 2050. Now, that's all well and good and a great statement to make, but how?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, like I said, if we take the UK as an example, we can't taxing our way through this is being used. If you go to London, for example, you have the emissions charge, right?
Yeah.
So there are going to be policies that are going to be put into play in places in cities where they're going to essentially try and prevent people from driving heavily polluting cars. For example, now you have this whole Dieselgate.
Yes.
Remember, we were told that these cars are all clean and so on and so forth, but now they're really seriously polluting cars. I mean, obviously the technology in the new ones is better than the old ones, but nevertheless, there's millions of diesel cars on the road.
Yeah.
So the undertaking that we're talking about here is vast.
It is.
And you are right. I concur with you that as a politician, it's far easier to make a statement about something now.
Yeah.
About something that's going to be potentially in 20, 30 years' time.
Of course.
And some may or may not live to see it. And I appreciate and I admire the young people who came out today around the world to speak about their future.
Mm.
And I hope it wasn't in vain. But unlike you, I try not to agree completely with your skepticism,
right,
and cynicism. But it is there is a reality in that. You can have a president or a prime minister that comes into power, believing in their green policies, and then within 12 months lobbied to go the other way.
Yeah,
and then suddenly everything that was agreed, like the Paris Accord agreement, you walk away from it.
Absolutely.
So then what incentive does a country like USA give to the rest of the smaller countries around the world
exactly
to reduce their emissions when it's saying, I don't even believe in this?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll give an example, right? So last week, Donald Trump, so Obama had signed off a policy which was to replace all the light bulbs to LED bulbs.
Yes.
And he didn't like it. So he's kept them. I mean, these are small things in the grand scheme of things, but it's the message you give.
Of course, it has an impact.
I don't believe this. One of the things he did when he was on his campaign trail, which was to restore the coal mines, to give American jobs to American people.
Yeah.
He's affecting a vast new renewable energy market by doing that. I used to work in my previous role. I have worked with some of the world's biggest renewable energy companies, and there is a serious push to try and change the infrastructure in the United Kingdom. A vast amount of the electrical power in the UK now is renewable energy.
Yes.
And while this industry was starting up and it was going through its middle phases, it had significant subsidies from the UK government. They have effectively come to a standstill.
Yeah.
So we, on the one hand, we're saying, and I know the UK government is saying, we've put X millions into this for our new environment policies. But on the other hand, we're not taking them away. So there needs to be incentives for companies. There needs to be incentives for people to change the way they use things. And we've spoken often about having electric cars or plug-in cars.
Absolutely.
Again, this is a decision that people need to start thinking about making in the future.
No, absolutely right.
And when you're heating your house, how you're heating your house, is it going to be, are you using any form of renewable energy? And so there has to be an incentive, because I know we were talking about the young people here and politicians, but the average Joe needs an incentive.
Yeah, just to go back to the point you made of Trump pulling out of the Paris Agreement, at the time, in 2015, I think it was. He claimed that the agreement would cost the US $3 trillion in lost GDP and 6.5 million jobs, and that was his prime driver for pulling out of the agreement.
It's outlandish stats.
It's outlandish.
Yeah.
And I suppose one has to ask, how would you prove those figures? But they do seem
a
outlandish.
bit like his tax returns.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, absolutely. But you made a very, very good point, brother, and I have to fully concur with you on the point that when you see the so-called leader of the free world making decisions like that, and other countries, some of which still look up to the USA, are they going to mimic those decisions? Are they going to echo his views? And it has an impact.
Yeah, and he himself is very skeptical about climate change.
Of course he is.
Which is a frightening message to give to your fan base.
I think at one time he did actually refer to certain elements of climate change news as fake news.
Wow. And there's tornadoes on his doorstep and he didn't even know there was a level 5
That's
tornado.
Right. That's right.
You know, thank you, brother. I mean, I'm sure there are people listening right now who have an opinion on this. Please do get in touch.
Text or WhatsApp 07745 278 978. This is Salam Radio.
You know, I can't help but feel that this is the biggest crisis. This is the biggest issue for humanity. It's more than terrorism.
Yeah.
It's more than the economy. It's more than security. It's more than migration. It's more than refugees and so on and so forth. Yet it seems to be something which isn't. I'll give you an example. Yesterday was question time on the BBC. Okay?
Yeah.
It was just Brexit. Where was climate change? Just to give you an idea.
It's way down there on the agenda.
And the reason why we're talking, well, not just us, but the reason why mainstream media, I mean, like a humble community station like ours, but other major news networks to talk about, is because so many children took a day off school.
Yeah,
and the mass numbers of people were
right.
in cities walking around and doing all the and protesting.
Yeah.
Oh, look, this is what these people are doing. This is why, and can I just say, I don't. This is why groups like Extinction Rebellion are taking, you know, you could say a very, very drastic action. I remember when they were in London and they brought central London to a standstill.
Yeah.
To try and tell people, remind people, show people what's happening in the world.
Yeah.
And what we're doing and what we're, and crucially, what we're not doing. And, you know, I personally, I think the only way that our politicians are going to learn from this is the ballot box.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, you know, and we do need to support. And you know, this is we need to support politicians who speak up for the environment. It can't just be about local issues. We have to be thinking about other future issues as well. But
this is
here he comes.
Yeah, exactly.
Here he comes
with my cynical hat on again.
That's right.
But I can't help but think this, bro, because we've seen it so often. You will get those politicians talking heartfelt messages about climate change and that we need to act now and all this. But it's normally those politicians that are not in power. So what's that telling us?
Yes,
it's telling me that they want to get in power.
Yes, this is true.
But does that mean they're foolish to think they can win an election on a climate change basis? Or are they just trying to... Or are they genuinely caring about climate change? So I don't think... Bro, you know how the world of politics is just so brutal. And those that go to win will pull on the strings of voters where they know they're going to get votes. And I don't think climate change is one of them.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Look, Hope Not Hate did a survey.
Yeah.
Okay, and there was a big poll, and during that poll, the question was, is how much time do you agree that time is running out to save the planet? And are we spinning out of control?
Yeah.
64% in the UK agreed with this statement, 70% in Germany, 74% in Brazil, and 57% in the US.
Yeah.
But I also found that few people believe their governments are doing enough. Only 23% in the UK, 20% in Germany, 23% in Brazil, and 26% in the US agree that ministers are taking sufficient action. I'm not saying this is just a UK issue.
Yeah.
This is a worldwide issue.
You
have to look at what happened just a few weeks ago in Brazil with those fires in the Amazon.
Yep.
Okay.
That's right.
And the president there was accused of not acting quickly enough to put those out. there are farmers there, there are people there who want to use the Amazon, parts of it, for farming and so on and so forth, and there's not enough incentive for them not to do that.
Yeah.
And there is in this era, it still staggers me with the overwhelming proof, scientific proof, that climate change is real, it's man-made, it's happening, and what we see with our own two eyes, that people still disbelieve this.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But just while we've got time, and I'm conscious of the time we have left, there is another angle to climate change we haven't yet addressed. I think it's worth just popping in there, which is the medical impacts of climate change.
Yeah.
And the vast majority of the members of the, and I quote, the Royal Society of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene, some of whom are actually responsible for significant discoveries in tropical diseases that plague mostly poorer countries, they believe, this group of medical experts, that governments and health bodies are failing to prepare adequately for the medical impacts of global heating.
Yeah.
And this is something which is overlooked. Well, we talk about climate change and damage to the environment and the earth, etc., but there's an impact on us as individuals as well, right? So the climate crisis essentially represents the biggest threat to the future of global health over the next quarter of a century. That's according to the survey of top medical professionals. So there's that angle as well.
Yeah.
But I think this is the point that needs to be driven home even more, because when people think about their own personal well-being as an effect of climate change, that should drive people to more action. That's human nature.
Yes, it should.
Self-preservation.
Yes, absolutely, and the two go together, don't they?
They do.
They really do go together. If you think of it like that, then your neighbour's going to be covered too.
Right.
Yeah. And that's a very, very good point, actually. And I don't know where this is going to go, but there definitely needs to be, and we're talking, me and you, what we're talking about here is immediate change.
Yes.
We're not talking about 10 years from now.
No, we're not.
We're talking about an immediate change.
Absolutely.
But the pushback from big industries, from, like we mentioned, politicians, infrastructure, or the lack of courage is so deafening that I'm sure there are, like you mentioned earlier, but there's so many people who would be thinking, you know what, is it really worth it?
Yeah.
Are we really going to do anything? And so we're going to essentially sleepwalk towards Armageddon.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people do think that, well, if I stop doing this, if I buy an electric car, what impact is that going to have? But that's where we fail as a human race.
Yes.
If we have that mentality, we are going to let our planet down.
Yeah, we are. And there are, we're talking about humans and you were talking about health, but you only have to look at what's happening to the wildlife.
Yeah.
Many species of birds and fish and so on and so forth are starting to just disappear now.
Yeah.
There are mass migrations. In the wildlife documentary you see as well, migrations of animals have started to slow down. Or certain animals are no longer able to get to certain animals are no longer able to get to their habitats and so on and so forth. So this is having a massive effect on our planet.
It is.
I hope we find a solution in our lifetime.
Inshallah.
And so we can help preserve the future of the generations that are yet to come. So Jazakallah khair for your company. I really enjoyed that tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show. Jazakallah khair for listening to Islam Radio. There's plenty more on our airways. Do stay tuned. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
Here at Children of Adam, we believe water wells and hand pumps are a significant step to empowering people to live their best life. A hand pump donation is an excellent form of sadaqah jariyah for loved ones, including those who have passed away. Sa'd ibn Ubadah reported, he said, "O Messenger of Allah, the mother of Sa'd has died, so what is the best charity I may give on her behalf?" The Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Water." Sa'd dug a well and said, "This is for the mother of Sa'd." A water pump is £150. Please donate by visiting childrenofadam.net or call us on 0300 321 0032.
Had a car accident or an accident at work? Accident specialists are experts in no-win, no-fee accident claims. Leave the hassle to us. Our multilingual settlement experts will manage the entire claims process on your behalf with nothing to pay.